Hello everyone. Welcome back to Blood Bowl Live for our slightly delayed Monday night roundup, or as we're calling it today, Wednesday night catch up. As you are aware, we've been away for a few days, so we haven't had any streams for the last week, and we were not able to do the roundup on Monday. But it's been a big week of games. We had all of the quarterfinals done, and we know our four semi-finalists. So before these semi-finals get played, which I think all happens over this weekend, we can have a great couple of fixtures coming up. We wanted to go through. We didn't want to make you wait. So here is the roundup. Here are the summary of games. And we know that the Tetanus Hotspurs has secured their place against the Ice Barham with a 1-0 win. So we know that they are our first semi-finalist. And to see who they were going to play, we had the Scale Marys versus the Iceborne Raiders. In a very interesting game, a very, very tight game, tighter than I think a 2-0 scoreline maybe suggests from what I'm aware of. And it's a game where I think John will be very, very happy, coaching the Iceborne Raiders, that he did take the win. Looking at for all of these games, I was constantly messaging and trying to find out what was happening in the shop. So I've got a bit. I think I've probably got more information than I normally do. First half, looking at what we can see on tour play, Billy does what Billy does best, but gets sent off very early on, which will have hindered him being a skink down so early. Gets rid of a lineman on turn 6. Now, in the first half, John stalled. John got himself in a good position, stalled with the ball. But for the second time this season, he has been caught out by his stalling. We saw it in the group stages where he stalled, he went for a crowd surf, got double skulls, and didn't go in 1-0 up at the break. And exactly the same thing happened here. It wasn't crowd surf this time. Based on the position that the Scale Marys had managed to sort of the pressure they'd managed to do, um, a chain push needed to happen from the Iceborne Raiders in order to get the Valkyrie into the touchline to get the touchdown, and double skulls were rolled. So once again, John almost John got away with a bit of a error in the stall in the first half. So it goes into the second half at 0-0. Torplay tells us that then you get a good amount of another casualty for the Croxicore there. The Valkyrie gets a casualty back, stat busting a skilled up skink. Agility stat bust on a skink is not great, really. Casualty comes the other way, so really trading blows. And from what I was told about what was happening in the game, the skink needed to dodge out. A ball carrying skink needed to dodge out, failed the re-roll, and lost the ball, which bounced into the hands of a Valkyrie. And John was then able to cage up that Valkyrie nicely and get into a position to score on turn 14 and take the 1-0 lead. After that, two turns, but David needed a dodge from a Saurus. Anyone who plays lizards or has played lizards, uh, I always very much think to myself, sort of, once you start dodging out and doing your edge things with your Saurus, you know that you're in an unfortunate position, but you do it anyway because why wouldn't you? And the failed dodge on the Saurus and double. Let's have a look here. Failed dodge on the Saurus. The ball was then managed to be collected and taken down to then make it 2-0. I think maybe John will have been very lucky, feeling a bit lucky that after that first half, missing out on the touchdown to go 1-0 up at the break. And then it's always painful when you've got a dodgy player like a gutter runner or like a skink. Excuse me. And they fail the dodge and the dodge reroll. Always kind of sucks. So unlucky for David. Absolute credit to David. It's his first Blood Bowl season, and he made it through to the quarterfinals and put up a decent fight. Put the pressure on when someone's stalling.
and stalling for the half to be over and going in on turn 8. All you can do is put the pressure on and force him into a mistake, and it's what he did. So he's had some really great games this season. He's played really well. Done a really good job with the Lizards, and yeah, absolutely well done to him for making it through to the quarterfinals. John, John's been here before. John is through to another semi-final. John will be looking for his second title this season. He's the only remaining champion in the draw, and he faces a player in the semi-final. We'll have a little preview of that game. But in facing Scott, he faces someone who's only ever been in semi-finals. He's never gone out earlier. So um, it's going to be a really interesting game, that one. Well done to John for making another semi-final, though. We'll be really keen to see their game. Moving on to the Numpties versus the Graveyard Brawlers. This one I could not call. Could not call. So difficult to call, and it turned out to be the tightest game we've had all season, especially in the knockouts. These two players know each other well. They've played each other before. Elliot with his dwarves has been on a real charge with them. He's had a few mixed results this season, had a really great tournament performance in pre-season, and has come in and really hit the ground running. He's faced some really tough opponents in Mitch's Elves and in James's Chaos Renegades, and he's managed to get through those as well. And done a really, really good job here to really take the fight to the Necromantic Horror team, who again have had sort of mixed results as the season has gone on, but done really well to get themselves into this place. They've got some of the most valued players in the league in that Necromantic Horror team, and done really, really well. First half, Elliot stalled up until the end of the half and took the touchdown right at the very end there on turn 7. As we can see, Tall Play doesn't tell us that a lot happened there. And then the second half was all the Graveyard Brawlers, completely in control, controlling the pitch nicely and taking the touchdown on turn 14. Um, 2 turns for the Dwarves to come back was always going to be a tall order. So the game went to extra time. Extra time, Tom wins the roll off to start the half with the ball, and Elliot did a really good job at just building a big dwarf wall, putting up big a big buffer to stop Tom getting any further forward, and it worked. Forcing Tom to send a werewolf out into the open to have a chance of scoring. You know, he had to do something to break through that wall. Um, and they got the werewolf. They took the werewolf out, and that ended any scoring chance. Um, no chance for the dwarves to score. So it's the first game that we have had that went to a roll off. Which is such a horrible way to, in a way, it's a horrible way to win and a horrible way to lose. You hate to go out on a roll off because, you know, either of you clearly deserve to win the game if you've got that far. And the roll off went the way of the dwarfs. I believe it went dwarfs, necromantic horror, dwarfs, necromantic horror. 3-2 win, but they'd won it after the fourth dice roll anyway. And go through to the semi-finals. And like I've already said, really well done to Elliot for taking this dwarf team all this way. He's done really, really well with them after, you know, some great performances against some really tricky opponents. And if Tom feels robbed, then Tom should feel robbed because it's a nasty way to go out. I think Elliot deserves his place in the semi-final, absolutely. I think Tom would have done as well, and it's just unfortunate that it's ended on the roll-off. But well done to both of these coaches for a really, really strong league performance. Elliot's got a load of people behind him now going into the next round. I think he's up there with one of the definitely, if not team favourites, a fan favourite that people want to see go all the way to the final now. So well done, Elliot. We'll be keeping an eye on your game, see whether you can make it through to the next stage. And their opponent will be the winner of the Woodhull Wanderers versus the Graveyard Greystone Gladiators. And I'll start by apologising to Justin for apparently calling him Jason in the last roundup. So apologise there. I'm now calling your team by the wrong name. So 1 week I'll get it right. Um, This another interesting game. We had the Greystone Gladiators coming into this game. Um, they came into playoffs on the back of three losses, but you had a good result against the Skaven team in the last round, and came into this game with a strong team, a strong lineup, looking to push on. Wordholler Wanderers came through as the lowest wildcard spot that we had. They were the bottom performing team coming in to the last 16. Knocked out two-time champion and current champion um, Riotous Rams in the last 16, and then come into this last eight again. Probably, and I don't want to do Simon down, but probably coming into this game again as the underdog. I think he's probably come into these quarterfinals and into the last 16 as a whole, and into these playoffs as the underdog, and has just pulled it out of the bag absolutely with some really, really strong performances. Um, Looking at this, how this game kind of went down, the Wordholler Wanderers started with the ball, and in the way that Rats do, got a touchdown quite early on. Turn four, whether that is sooner or later than he would wanted, possibly. I know in previous games he has wanted to stall more, especially against an opponent like Elves who can score very quickly. But he gets the touchdown on turn four and gets a casualty, taking out a skilled up catcher on the way, which was very, very good. Coming into the next drive, the one thing that you don't want as the Elven team against a team with a gutter runner is a blitz, and that's what Jason got. Justin, go! I, I'm gonna blame. I'm sorry, Justin. I'm going to blame I'm going to blame the fact that I've been sat in this chair for the best part of 20 minutes after getting out of the car, having just left the airport. So I'm sorry. Um, Justin will have not wanted the Blitz as the kickoff event, and that is exactly what he got. And the Underworld were able to capitalize on it and were able to swoop in and get another touchdown by turn six. The Stunty Superstar is then sent off, and the Elves go into the second half 2 touchdowns down, needing 3 touchdowns to win, or at least 2 touchdowns in order to get the draw. Um, and they get off to a very strong start. They get off to a good start in that second half, getting a touchdown by turn 10 with a completion on the way. Gutter runner out for the game as well, so that's a really, really good thing in their corner. Taken out by a catcher, a bit of SPP for him. Sweltering heat was the weather event that we had at the start of the second half, but it looks like changing weather very quickly changed that back to standard. Um, and anyway, the touchdown comes on turn 10, and it is then 2-1. And then I think the dice decided that Justin had gone far enough by the sounds of it. I don't think either player had very good dice leading up to the end of this game. There were various instances of double ones being rolled on various things. And these are two teams that do a lot of things on a roll of a two up. You know, there's lots of dodging that takes place on a two up, lots of agility rolls that takes place on a two up. And double ones just seem to be the theme of the evening. And I was getting updates on this one as to what was happening. I was desperately trying to find out what was needed. Um, and at one point, it looked like all Justin needed a three, a three, a two, a two in 4 consecutive rolls, um, and failed at the first, and no re-rolls left either. All the re-rolls are burnt by this point. But the opportunity came back to him. Simon um, needed a block and a pickup and could have been 3-1 up, but failed on the pickup. Justin then needed, looks like a 2, a 3, a 2, a 3, and a 2 in order to do it. A pickup, a dodge, a pickup, a handoff, a pass, and a dodge. I believe someone feel free to correct me if that was not quite right. And I think at this point, maybe just fatigue, playoff stress got the better. I think there was a mix up in actions that were declared, but the rush to hand off the ball from the elves didn't come off. And then, I mean, this just kept happening. Various dice rolls just needed in order to get the ball to safety. A three-up pickup with a snotling and a four-up pass was needed to get to safety at one point. Um, Justin then needed a double rush blitz, then a double rush pickup, then a six-up pass, then a double rush to score. That was the final play that he needed to pull off. And as far as I'm told, the blitz was successful, the pickup was successful, I think. Yes, the pass then failed and was inaccurate, and that ended the Elves' chance to come back into the game and get a last-minute equaliser. Um, uh, a shock result? I don't know. I don't know. It was, I think Justin caught Simon with some momentum and confidence that, as to remind people, and I'm sorry to remind Simon himself of this. Season 3, no games won. Season 4, no games won. Season 5 came into this season with no wins under his belt, and he's now made it through to the semi-finals. Sometimes Nuffle is on your side. Sometimes that underdog, and I hate to say it, kind of like Mighty Duck spirit, fighting your way through, just comes through for you, and it's coming through for absolutely coming through for Simon this season. Justin's had a really good run. He had a very, very tough group, Justin. John, who I know he's played many times, who's through to the semi-finals, very strong opponent, a strong Amazon team in there as well. Really, really tough group that he came out of, had a great result, and this isn't Justin's first Blood Bowl competition, but it's his first time in the ADBBL, and getting through to the last eight. And I think actually, if you look at the people who have gone out in the last eight, he's up there with some really, really tough, really strong competition. Um, I still don't know whether Torplay is going to let us do a fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth playoff. But it won't shock me if Justin ends up in that fifth spot because he's had some really good performances this season. Um, and as a coach, I really like Justin. He's very good at sort of explaining what he's doing and really good at helping sort of people and sort of making sure you're doing things right and sort of giving you a bit of guidance as well. So a real asset and well done for making it this far. And a huge well done again to Simon for getting through to the final four. And let's have a look at those games. So we're going to bring you both of these games live. I believe we've even got, I don't have the updated images because I've not been home long, but on Friday we have the Tetanus Hotspurs versus the Iceborne Raiders. I believe this game, the World Hollow Wanderers, is happening at the weekend. I will double check and we'll, either way, we will be bringing you the live game. We'll be bringing you all of this as much as we can. This is going to be the toughest test yet for Simon to get through this really, really strong, growing dwarf team that I may even now have the money for a death roller as well. He's currently missing his gutter runner as well, so this is going to be the toughest test yet. I have no doubt Simon's going to be at home looking at how he can best tactically best Elliot here. I think whichever one of these two we have in the final, we've got someone who's really earned their place, absolutely. So good luck to you both. And we'll be really keen to see that one. And like I said, we will be showing you on Friday the Tetanus Hotspurs versus the Iceborne Raiders coming to you at Friday at 6 o'clock. We'll bring you all of the action from that one. This will be a really good one because Scott and John are both very good coaches at kind of talking through what they're doing. And they've both got some very interestingly kind of differently skilled teams. John's gone for a few more choosy things. We know that Scott's gone mainly for the random mutations. So it's going to be a really interesting face up between these two. Both players have lost key people throughout the course of the season, but I think we've got two pretty strong rosters going up against each other. Two pretty similar team values, I think, as well. Not a lot in it on the team values either, but both have treasuries that they could spend. 160 for the Hotspurs and 130 for the Norse team. So they're the only two unbeaten teams left, and the only reason John isn't unbeaten is one draw in his way. So, yeah, it's going to be a hell of a game, that one. As are both of them. They're going to be so. I'm going to be glued to them, absolutely, and I hope you will too. Um, a quick word on the King of the Streets. I believe we still have the same at the top of the table. The Inner Day Animals are still the currently top in the streets. anyone who is out of the competition, obviously coming into the competition later, you've got more games to win to try and get up there, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. So feel free to jump in and get a load of street game, gutter ball games under your belt before the final whistle goes in the final, which we'll of course be bringing you as well. Um, that's it. That's our Wednesday catch up. Thank you for joining us. Thank you if you're watching this on YouTube afterwards. Really appreciate all the interest we have from anyone and everyone that comes in and watches us. So, really do appreciate it. We'll be bringing you two live games over the next few days. On Friday, we've got one. On Saturday or Sunday, I need to check. We'll have one as well. And by that point, we will know our two finalists, and we will hopefully know when the final is, and we can give you all the details on what we're going to bring you on that day as well. I'm in need of a drink and a lie down. I've been up forever. I was sat in Greece at 9 o'clock this morning, and now I'm sat in a rainy Woodbridge afternoon. So I'm going to go, and we will catch you next time. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.